Welcome, everyone, to Bet What Happens Live. We are at the 2-minute warning of this game between the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. Kind of an interesting one we have here. The Denver Broncos lead 9-8 over the Buffalo Bills in a little bit of a surprising start. We had that early James Cook fumble, which led to the Broncos field goal. And then the Broncos scored a touchdown through Cortland Sutton. And the Bills finally got one back on a pass to Dalton Kincaid. So, Billy, what do you think so far? Thoughts on this first half and anywhere your eyes or brain is taking you with some potential bets?
Yeah, you didn't even mention it, but also Josh Allen interception in Denver territory as well, which, obviously bad timing for that. But no, this one is honestly, to an extent, how I expected it. I said in my live article, during this recent skid for Buffalo, they've averaged less than 15 points in the first half of games compared to a little bit over 20 in the second half. And they just seem to be starting slow the last, I don't know, month or so. I don't really know why or what would cause that, but it seems repeatable enough that we can bank on it. And what I said before that is, unless the Bills have a big lead and we think they're going to take the air out of the ball, definitely want the overs heading into the second half. I was hoping the number would drop more than this. I think it's a little elevated right now just because Denver's driving. So we'll have to see how this drive, and then maybe if Buffalo gets one more, how that plays out. But as of now, I'm definitely leaning towards the over and hoping we get a better number than it is right now.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, there's been some, turnovers, for example, that interception, like you mentioned, right through Gabe Davis's hands, and then picked off. And I believe that was in the red zone. So that's a potential points on the board that didn't materialize. And then you have the Broncos who I guess they acted like they were going to kick it, took a timeout, ended up, getting the touchdown, but then missing an extra point, clanking it off the crossbar there with Will Klutz. So it was one of those things where we could have a few more points on the board. Now the live total looks like it's 45.5 everywhere. So, we do have the Denver Broncos driving the ball, as you mentioned here. They are inside Buffalo territory. Obviously, I'm rooting for a field goal here, given that I have over 1.5 field goals for Will Lutz. So we'll just have to see how that turns out. But as far as the game itself, right, we had James Cook fumble right off the bat and then get benched for 3 series. He's since come back in, and it looks like in that most recent series that the Bills had where they scored their touchdown, they had their normal rotation. So I think we can probably expect that. Obviously something to monitor if the Bills get the ball back here before halftime. Not sure they will. But certainly I think my expectation would be probably back to the normal rotation on the Bills running backs. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, unless somebody fumbles again, of course. But it's a little baffling. You were saying off air they use Latavius more in the 2-minute drill, which just seems so wrong, right? Like James Cook has so much more juice in the passing game. You'd think they'd be more explosive with the ball in his hands just more often broadly, but I guess that's just not how coaches seem to operate in the NFL, as we've seen with other teams this year.
Yeah, it was interesting when they were using Latavius Murray on those 3 series. To give a shout out to our colleague Charlie DeSturco, he said, with all that Latavius Murray usage, why do they keep doing this? They were so inefficient on those drives because he has the mobility of a line of shopping carts. So then they put in, go figure, they put in James Cook and they score a touchdown. So I think that's probably what they're going to have to go back towards. So I think we can, at least as far as our priors, go back to where our priors were in terms of the Bills running back usage. But the Broncos, they're at 2nd and 10, and Russell Wilson scrambles inside the 30-yard line while a flag comes out here. So we'll have to see the result of that. But there is just over a minute left in the half. Broncos up 9-8, and the penalty is on them. So now it is going to be, I believe, 2nd and 19. It was 2nd and 10. Now I think it's 2nd and 19 after the penalty on the Broncos here. So just kind of in a holding pattern. If you were to look outside of, also potentially the Bills running backs, or you look anywhere, what kind of player props do you think you might be eyeing right now?
Yeah, we were talking about how much success they had with James Cook. That is the first one I was looking at. I'm looking at DraftKings right now. They don't have rushing plus receiving for him. And I kind of have a hard time, at least until we get a little more settled into what the score is going to be like, in deciding whether we think he's going to get more production on the ground or more through the air, right? Because if Denver scores here, that's going to look very differently than if the Bills score and go for 2 and go into the half up 7. So I like James Cook in some sense broadly, but in what sense I expect him to produce here is hard. So maybe that, we look at the touchdown market for that instead of trying to pick how he picks up yards.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the touchdown market is a good way to potentially look at that. Heading into, when the show went live, when we were right at the 2-minute warning, we would have him at plus 325. That's obviously going to change. So, it's just a matter of how that'll change. But right now at FanDuel, I'm seeing plus 470. So that's something, I don't think we're going to change drastically from plus 325. So he's plus 470 for a touchdown at FanDuel, and he's plus 210 at DraftKings. So DraftKings kind of saying, hey, we think he'll be back to his normal usage. FanDuel saying, well, maybe we're still hedging a little towards more Latavius Murray.
Yeah, and that's, when I was mentioning him just in general being bullish on his prospects, that was my hope. Is the books algorithms would see he only had however many touches in the first half, try to project that out to the second, rather than realize he's probably not going to get benched again unless he fumbles. Yep. Maybe Latavius fumbles in the second half or something else happens. Yeah. So yeah, I like that. Obviously, another good reminder, especially with markets like this where there's not really a consensus, to definitely shop around because that's quite the edge.
It's a massive difference. I'm actually going to take that. I saw enough in that fifth series for the Bills. I'm going to take plus 470 James Cook anytime touchdown at FanDuel. I'm going to throw a half a unit on that. It's the Bills. They're still a good team, even though they've had their struggles. They're still a good team. They can score points. So if they're back to their normal usage, that's a great value on James Cook. So my first bet what happens live, half a unit on James Cook plus 470. Now it's already down to plus 430. So make sure you grab it because it's moving for an anytime touchdown. All right. So resetting here, it is 4th and 6 for the Denver Broncos. They are sending out Will Lutz for a field goal. 49 seconds left. This is a big one for me because I have his over at plus 140. When I gave it out on Green Dot Day, it was plus 135 because it had moved 5 cents before we went live, but I got it at plus 140. So pretty important kick here. We're gonna sweat this one, Billy. We'll see if we can hit a plus 140 bet. Well, not we, but if I can hit my plus 140 bet with this kick right here, I just want Will Lutz to do his normal thing. And the kick is good. All right, let's go.
He's continuing to flirt with those uprights like he did on
he is
on the extra point. Those are touchy.
He's struggled a lot last year for the Saints and ended up with Denver this year, and he's struggled a little bit too, but I figured the kicking volume would be there with the way the Bills have been banged up on defense. I figured Denver is good enough to move the ball, but not good enough to constantly get touchdowns. So thought maybe there'd be a couple stalled drives in Bills territory. It turns out that was the case. So Denver now, this is interesting. They are up by 4 points. We got 45 seconds left in the half. Let me look at these live money lines just to kind of see where things stand. So the Bills minus 178, the Broncos plus 138 at FanDuel, and then over at DraftKings minus 166 and plus 130. So when we average those out, it's almost 60-40 exactly on the money line in favor of the Buffalo Bills right now.
Yeah, which is, I guess, a little surprising just because Denver gets the ball to start the second half. I thought it would be closer, and they've moved the ball well. It's not like this has been totally fluky. The touchdown was weird because Russ was running for his life, but Denver, 12 more net yards on the game so far. So it's not like they didn't fall into one here, like they're legitimately winning this game. So I'm kind of surprised. I'm never an NFL money line better, but it's almost tempting to pull the trigger on the Broncos at those lines.
Yeah, it is close to tempting there. One thing I will mention, Josh Allen right now, he has 86 passing yards. The Bills are getting the ball back here. So his live passing prop is off the board at FanDuel. Let me check at DraftKings. It is also off the board, but it's kind of ghosted at 248. My model is showing 243, but we have to remember they have the ball here. So got to account for maybe a little bit more than that. And it is picked off. So that is huge there. Josh Allen's going to be throwing a lot in the second half, I have a feeling, given he just threw another interception.
Yeah, now I'm, kicking myself for not taking that money line because Denver's now minus 110, it looks like, minus 114 FanDuel, which is, I mean,
even
obviously we
50,
didn't expect that on the first play out of the out of this drive. So
absolutely
one,
incredible.
in terms of passer, I'm looking at, though, I'm a little bit interested in Russell Wilson to throw an interception. Denver has a slightly negative pass rate over expectation, but just barely this year. And this game should still be close at worst. It's not like they're going to, blow the doors off. You think likeliest outcome here is probably a field goal, still a one-score game. I don't know. I think it was plus 195 before they took it down. So if it comes back up at that, I'd be pretty interested.
Yeah, that's at plus 195. I'd definitely be interested because we have plus 170 as fair value based off of the moment that Josh Allen threw the interception. Obviously, I haven't updated it for the new live odds, so I'd expect it to go down, but it's still probably pretty close here. So I think
now plus 210 on it. It just came back up.
Yeah, so I think when I say down, I mean less likely to have an interception for Wilson in my model. So let me plug that in, and let's flip it over. Hypothetically, let's flip it over to the second half, and let's see what my model says for Russell Wilson. It says plus 180. So yeah, I'm on board with a plus 210 or in that neighborhood for Russell Wilson to throw an interception.
And I guess the question is, do we take it now and hope one of these last couple passes go that way for us?
Yeah, we take it now.
Right,
we definitely have to do that. So we're taking Russell Wilson to throw an interception plus 210 at FanDuel as our second bet here on Bet What Happens Live. I really like that that angle here because it's plus 210 at DraftKings as well, if that's what you have available to you. But I really like that because this is one of those counterintuitive spots where Denver leads, so you think that the Broncos are going to throw less, but they're playing the Bills. It's still a decent chance the Bills come back, take the lead. Denver has the ball right now in the 2-minute drill, in the 2-minute offense. So they're going to be throwing. Really like that. This is a great spot to take Russell Wilson interception at plus 210.
And he's been lucky to not have one so far. Even that touchdown to Sutton, there's a couple other throws. I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me, but he had a pretty high rate of interceptable balls or whatever. Our supervisor, Sean Corner, called it in that list.
Yeah, exactly. Turnover worthy plays, bad balls, whatever you want to call some of these ones. They all have slightly different definitions the way we calculate them, but they all correlate. And Russell Wilson definitely has had a few of those so far. So we've got two bets right now. We've got James Cook for an anytime touchdown at plus 470, half a unit on that one. And we got Russell Wilson plus 210 to throw an interception. And the end of this half has gone by a little slowly. We're kind of hanging out, still waiting to see if something happens here. We got 20 seconds left in the half. It is 3rd and 6 for the Denver Broncos. So if you got any questions in chat, I do see a few. I see one here. Denver running backs over on rushing yards. Your thoughts now that they have the ball and they'll start with the ball in the second half?
Yeah, I thought before the game they'd be a little bit more efficient than they have been. They're averaging 3.6 yards per rush, and most of that is Russ Wilson on 3 for 22.
Yeah.
Javonte 12 for 43. I think this Bills defense is doing a good job with that. I don't really see that efficiency changing. I also don't think we get the volume to really justify that unless we get some real low numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Javonte Williams has a long rush of 9. Samaje Perine a rush of 8, and those are the only two decent rushes outside of Russell Wilson's 3 for 22. So I agree with you. I think probably not a spot where I'm looking to go over on the Denver running backs rushing yards, especially knowing again they're playing the Bills. The Bills can come back, and then Russell Wilson will be forced to throw late in this game. So I'm not in a spot here where I want to necessarily be backing these overs on these Denver running backs. We see Denver scrambling here, trying to get a third field goal in for Will Lutz. Should have taken an escalator prop on that or something. But he does make the field goal going into halftime. So the Bills now lead by a touchdown. They lead by 7. And it is officially the second half or halftime going into the second half. So let me just update these money lines here. Denver slightly favored at FanDuel, and at DraftKings, they are also slightly favored. So, that certainly, I wouldn't say changes things in terms of, what we're expecting, but it's close, right? So Denver, a 53% favorite on the money line when we average those two.
Yeah, we got 1 point in value from the pregame total with it dropping to 46.5, which isn't great, but we scored 23 points in the first half. We just need 24 more in the second. I think given the way the Bills have played and just how much more efficient they've been, you pointed out they scored a touchdown the only drive they had James Cook in, and he'll hopefully be there. I do really like the over. That's kind of my plan all along, unless the Bills were running away with it. So over 46.5, I'm seeing minus 120 pretty much everywhere. So I like that one. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that.
No, I like it too. I like it too. The interesting thing, though, of course, is maybe the less efficient offense is starting with the ball. Maybe that's something we take partway into Denver's drive here, first drive. Is there a chance it drops a little more and then we can hit the over? So just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I almost kind of see it as a win-win whatever happens this next drive, because either Denver gives it back to Buffalo quickly, which we're hoping for, but if Denver gets something going, then Buffalo goes even more pass heavy anyway, besides the point. So
and the total
I see the
drops
angle
a little
for
bit,
sure. We're trying to guess what the book's gonna do in any of those situations. I can see it either way, so I'll defer that to you, but I lean to taking it now.
Let's take it now. We're going to take it now. We're going to take over 46.5 at minus 120. You mentioned it. The pregame total was 47.5 kind of when it closed. And I was looking specifically because you wrote up about first half, second half splits for this, and should you bet which half is higher or whatever. And you were saying first half may be higher simply because there could be the Bills taking the air out of the ball in the second half, but now we're not in that situation. And the first half total was 23.5, I believe. And we hit under here. So definitely, I think we should take it now. So we're going to take over 46.5 minus 120. Same number at FanDuel, same number at DraftKings. Bet 365 is 47.5. So don't take that number. Make sure you get 46.5. So that's kind of where we are. And just in general, if we look at, the game right now, 23 points. So getting over 46.5, that would be 24 more. That's a nice key number there that we can hope to hit. That's 3 touchdowns and a field goal. So 24, getting 23.5, over 23.5 for the rest of the game is nice, because 24 is what we need.
Yeah, that's what, I was checking some of those lines. Had it still been the 47.5 we saw pregame, kind of an awkward number. Where do you get that 25th point from? You don't want to bank on 2-point conversions and the like. So when I saw that half point come off with the score that we were at, that was enough for me.
Yeah. You also have to deal with Allen's third pick in the night. Well, there's no guarantee that Josh Allen will throw a third interception, but our model does have that he is rest of game plus 195 to throw an interception, which I think is funny because, he's even money right now almost on some of these sites to throw another interception, but we've removed half the game and he was, a little bit favored coming into the game. So I actually almost like taking the no side under another interception. That first one was not his fault whatsoever. He had nothing to do with that. I can't remember the second one, but
the second one was a really nice play from the Denver defender. It wasn't one of those classic Josh Allen, just chuck it up and see what happens. Like, he made a decent read. Defender made a great break on the ball. It's not something that, you expect to happen multiple times in a game. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think people saying that, and in the books, to be fair, are overreacting to the fact that he has 2.5. As if it was, he's just flinging it around and hoping for the best. He's not Jameis Winston out there. He's still making mostly good throws.
Exactly. And I'm looking at chat here. people are scared of backing us on the over here because of the primetime unders trend. So I get that, but I look at each game independently. I don't just blanket say primetime unders, just back all primetime unders. So I look at each game, each situation independent, right? Like the Jets Raiders has no impact last night on this game tonight, right? So I'm just kind of looking at what these teams do. And the fact that we almost met the first half total, even with a lot of bad luck involved, means we should probably expect these teams to score more than they already have been, right? We have 3 field goals from Denver. 1 or 2 of those could have maybe been a touchdown. Obviously, they did pass up on a field goal and get a touchdown. We've had the Bills who've had a couple solid drives and ended up in turnovers. So I think there's potential for more scoring in this one.
Yeah, 100% agreed. One of the things I look at is just the ratio of points to yards gained because, teams are moving the ball well. For whatever reason, it doesn't end up in points. An interception in the red zone, field goals, missed extra points. Like the only reason we got the first half under is because of a missed extra point, which we obviously don't bank on. Both teams averaging yards per play, 185 yards of offense from the Broncos, 164 from the Bills. You would expect, if anything, more scoring than we have now, just based on those numbers, right? If nothing else. So that's another one that I look at, to say nothing of how these teams have performed in the past, just how they're performing tonight tells us that we should probably expect more points. Plus, this has been the Bills for 4 or 5 weeks now. They just, for whatever reason, the first halves are sluggish. They don't come out well, and then they turn it on in the second.
Speaking of overs, Russell Wilson, his live passing prop while we're here at halftime is 207.5 at FanDuel. It's 210.5 at DraftKings. Our model is showing 235, and they start with the ball. And that is because we do think the Bills have a solid chance of coming back, right? This is still a coin flip game almost. So there's a solid chance Russell Wilson may need to throw late in this game. I'm going to take over 207. It's now 208.5 right as I'm going to click it here on FanDuel. But over 208.5 passing yards for Russell Wilson. We're projecting 235, and they are starting with the ball.
Yeah, and this is when we're getting into a little bit of trying to project what coaches are going to do. But if you're Sean Payton, are you coming out in the second half and trying to sit on a 7-point lead against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen? Probably not, right? And he's not the type of coach who's known for doing that. He's been an aggressive play caller, broadly speaking, in most of his stops. So I think they come out at least until they get another touchdown and play aggressively. You figure if that happens, we probably get 60, 70 more yards from Russ, and we're already almost there. So love that one. Couldn't believe the line was so low when he already has 114.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if the Buffalo Bills are able to come back. Real quick, let's look at a couple more anytime touchdown props. James Cook in our model is plus 366, and that keeps dropping. He's plus 320 now, so I'm glad we got it at plus 470. More anytime touchdown bets, just kind of checking the top players here. Stephon Diggs, we're not showing value on him. Gabe Davis, you mentioned him. We're not showing value there. Let's look at Dalton Kincaid for a second touchdown, plus 320, not showing value there. So definitely the Bills side of the ball. We're not really showing value on their players. Now let me look at Denver. Cortland Sutton for his second, plus 472, showing 5-1. It's close, but I think it's thin enough where I'm not going to bet that. And let me look at Jerry Jeudy. We have plus 540. What I'm seeing is 7-1 for Jerry Jeudy. Kind of an interesting spot. The Bills do play more man defense than zone defense. And last year, Jerry Jeudy was a man defense beater.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, it kind of fits with our theory. We expect the Broncos to stay aggressive. We expect them to throw the ball, maybe some mistakes in there. So, it's a little sprinkle, obviously, at those lines. We're not expecting it to be super likely, but I could certainly see the case for it, especially given that we're on the over, we're on Russ passing yards, like all these things correlate to a degree.
I like it. I'm rolling with it. I'm taking Jerry Jeudy quarter unit at 7-1 at FanDuel. Make sure you shop around. I'm just going to check DraftKings real quick to see what his line is there.
475 at DraftKings. So FanDuel is
yep. Yeah. Exactly. So grab that at FanDuel plus 700. Jerry Jeudy quarter unit for an anytime touchdown. We're getting pretty close to coming out of halftime. We still got a couple minutes. Any other player props you're maybe thinking about, not just necessarily touchdowns?
Yeah, to the touchdown point, I was hoping to see a little bit better line, but Bills DST at plus 750. I don't know if FanDuel offers that. I can't find that one. If we're, projecting a Russ interception, in retrospect, that would have been a nice one if you wanted to go real long shot and parlay these two together if they allowed it. But that seems like it should be, again, if we're expecting an interception, expecting Denver to stay aggressive, possibly made some mistakes. I could see that one. Probably not at plus 750 though. So that was the one I was checking out.
Yeah, so Buffalo defense at FanDuel, and it's not special teams, just defense, is 10-1.
What tab is that on FanDuel?
I just on the popular tab, and then anytime touchdown score.
Gotcha. Okay. I was trying to look at defensive like individual players, but okay. Yeah. I mean, and then you take the special teams out of that, which takes some of the likelihoods. All right. Never mind. Thank you for finding that though.
This is an interesting one in chat. Mims over half a yard. So obviously he has 0 yards right now. And so we're just kind of saying, what are the chances he catches a pass? And we do have 60% to the over. Now, what I like to do before I commit to that is looking at routes run. But unfortunately, because he has not been targeted, we don't have a routes run number on him. But I do know they used him in a gadget, not really gadget, but kind of a rushing play earlier in the game. I'm trying to find out at halftime. So real quick, Mims has had 22 snaps. So yeah, I like his over half a yard. Jerry Jeudy's had 20 snaps. So Mims has had more snaps than Jerry Jeudy. We're gonna go. I'm taking Mims over half a receiving yard. Let's see. Let's come over here.
Oh, before you lock that one in, are you interested in any of his alternate lines? It's slightly higher, but plus money because I'm seeing some of those out here too.
Oh, Mims.
Like basically, how long do you think his average reception is, given the way they use him?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So some of these longer ones, like FanDuel has a 25 plus at plus 350. What were you looking at specifically?
Those are the ones I was seeing. I'm trying to find if DraftKings has anything like that, but I don't think they offer those live.
Yeah, I don't mind the 25 plus. He's a long shot guy. We have him going over 28.5% of the time. And so that definitely beats plus a 25. So we're gonna do half a unit on 25 plus yards. I'm gonna do to win a full unit at over half a receiving yard at minus 104. That way, just 10-yard make profit, even if we lose the long one there. So I like it. We're going Mims 25 plus receiving yards at plus 350, half a unit, and Mims over half a receiving yard at minus 104. So
yeah, it just seems like if he's going to get one, it's either, a deep shot or a screen pass that he gets the ball in space. That doesn't mean he actually takes it anywhere. Get some
yards after the carry.
That's the idea.
Screen. Exactly. So downfield or yards after the carry on a screen are both possible. And I think that's going to do it. We got a lot of bets in this one. I like we hit a bunch of bets here. So really like all the questions in chat. You always keep us on our toes looking for some lines we could take. So, thank you for that. If you appreciated the show, make sure to give that thumbs up there and subscribe so you don't miss all of our Bet What Happens lives on Monday and Thursday nights. Plus, we got some special slates coming up. We got Thanksgivings. We've got some Saturday slates potentially. We got
Black
the playoffs.
Friday.
Yeah, all sorts of slates where we may have some extra Bet What Happens live. So make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and we appreciate it. Good luck with your bets, everybody, and enjoy the second half.